I'm the one at this time to allow me to wrap up, since those of you on board are senior president of the Republic of Liberia.
Welcome, Mr. President. Today is a presentation of the updated National Development Plan following the operation of comments and inputs received during the validation exercise across the country. In our program, the meeting will be called to order by His Excellency Joseph Nwankwo Senior, President of Liberia, who is also chairman of the National Steering Committee of the arrest agenda for inclusive development. Mr. President, welcome. And over to you, sir. Yes, we now want to give it to water, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Even though we don't have it in the program, I'll ask Excellency the Foreign Minister to give us a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this gathering. We thank you for the opportunity to serve. We thank you for the call to nation building. And we thank you for our president who is leading us on a new trajectory to build this nation. As we gather to discuss the steps, the strategies, and the activities that will undertake over the next 5 years to ensure that Liberia rises up to her potential. May you bless the discussions. You will illuminate our minds and our understanding, and that your name will be glorified. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Madam Foreign Minister. So we'll go straight into the program by calling on the Honorable Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Mr. Augustine A. Inafuan, to give us the opening remarks.
Your Excellency, President Joseph Nwankwo, Dean and members of the Cabinet, the UN Resident World Leader, the other heads of Development Partner Community here present, distinguished members of the National Steering Committee, Professor, ladies and gentlemen, today marks a critical milestone as we gather for the endorsement of Liberia's new The endorsement of the AIP, which is the arrest agenda for inclusive development, will be a giant step in our collective journey to shape the future of the Liberia we want. Through the arrest agenda and the 15 county development agendas for the period 2025 to 2029. The development of this comprehensive plan and the county development agendas has been a rigorous and collaborative process, guided by data and shaped by insights and feedbacks from a wide range of stakeholders, including government actors, the private sector, civil society, development partners, and most importantly, the citizens of our country. Now, as we get to endorse this plan and the accompanying county development agendas, we are assured that the draft plan is aligned with the needs and aspirations of the Liberian people. The validation process is not simply an exercise in procedure. It is also an opportunity for all of us to engage in meaningful discussions, offer constructive feedbacks, and ensure that the AIP is comprehensive, practicable, and responsive to the country's development needs. Your collective expertise and diverse perspectives have always been very valuable as we work together to refine the strategies and interventions that will guide our development over the next 5 years. As we review the National Development Plan and the County Development Agenda, we must keep in mind the core objectives that underpin these plans. 1, inclusive growth. We aim to foster an economy that works for everyone, creating jobs especially for our youth and leveraging the demographic dividends, and also creating opportunity for women and the physically challenged, promoting entrepreneurship in agribusiness, and reducing inequality and inequity across the country. We have projected our real GDP growth for the 5-year period to average about 6%, which is projected to create a pathway towards a 24% GDP per capita income growth that will see per capita income increase from US $849 to $1,050 US at 2029. In addition, we are deliberately focusing on economic diversification to create jobs and reverse the trade balance from the current $1.1 billion United States dollars to $637 billion United States dollars. To ensure that no one is left behind, we are focused on interventions targeting our youth, women, and vulnerable populations. 2, sustainable development. The plan is built on the foundation of sustainability. We are committed to an environmentally responsible growth that integrates climate resilience, green technologies, and conservation of our natural resources for the benefit of the present and future future generations. Besides, our approach treats our environmental resources as assets that we shall leverage in the mobilization of financing for development. 3. Infrastructure and innovation. We recognize that modern infrastructure and technological advancement are critical to achieving our development goals. The AARD emphasizes the need for robust infrastructure, digital transformation, and innovation to drive economic competitiveness. It should be noted that demand for better transport infrastructure constituted the highest priority need during our country consultations. Hence, the target of paving 485 kilometers of primary roads and the layout of all community roads in all county capitals is partly in response to the citizens' demand. 4. Social well-being. We understand that the well-being of our people is the true measure of our progress. We have targeted to reduce the proportion of the population that is multidimensionally poor from the current 45% to 36% by 2029 by tackling deprivation in health, education, living conditions, especially by increasing access to electricity, clean water, sanitation facilities, among others. The AID and the CDAs have therefore set out interventions for improving education, healthcare, water and sanitation, renewable energy access, social protection, and housing to uplift the quality of life for the citizens. 5. Governance. Aware of the role that strong, transparent, and accountable institutions play in fostering development, the AID and the CDAs focus on addressing the deficits in some of our institutions. We have prioritized strengthening the rule of law, fighting corruption, and improving the administration of justice. We will promote the use of digital technologies to foster technology in public service delivery and decision making. The preliminary cost estimate of the plan, the new arrest agenda for inclusive development over the next 5 years is put at $8.4 billion. Government contribution is projected at 10%, while the remaining 70% will potentially be sourced from the private sector, development partners, the diaspora, and others. In this regard, government is committed to enhancing its domestic resource mobilization through improvements in tax administration, tax policy reforms, especially tax expenditures, as well as cutting down unnecessary public spending. Government will also strive to maintain a healthy macro fiscal sustainability balance in line with the ECOWAS public debt to GDP ratio of less than 70%, and maintaining inflation to below 10% over the next 5 years. On trade integration, the signing of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement at its inception in March 21, 2018, and its subsequent ratification in July 2023 demonstrate Nigeria's willingness to promote social economic growth and development by accelerating trade between It is the collective vision of our country's future. It is a blueprint for how we address the challenges of poverty, inequality, unemployment, and underdevelopment as we advance our society. The role of the National Steering Committee is pivotal in ensuring that the AAIB and the CEAs are endorsed in order to commence their implementation next year. It is also critical to get the buy-in and commitment of our development partners in implementation of their agendas. In closing, I want to express gratitude to His Excellency President Joseph Numa Boakai, under whose supervision and visionary leadership this process has sailed thus far. Today, the National Steering Committee's anticipated endorsement of the draft AID represents the last major step in the long journey of formulating the government's new national development plan. This journey began in April of this year and has involved consultations and validation exercises with international and national stakeholders, including county stakeholders in 15 counties of Liberia. After today's endorsement, we will update the draft in anticipation of the formal launch of the AID in January of next year at a venue and date to be communicated later. Finally, I encourage all of us to engage fully, share our insights openly, and work together to finalize and begin implementation of a plan that is not only ambitious but achievable. Together, we will pave the way for a brighter, more prosperous future for our motherland, the Republic of Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. This is our phone. Well, very phone. The lead actor on the plan. I will now ask one of our major partners, the UN Resident Coordinator, to give her remarks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia, government ministers, senior government officials, development partners, private sector, civil society, UN colleagues, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. It is my pleasure to be here for the final steering committee for the design of Liberia's National Development Plan 2025-2029, called the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development and the 15 county development agendas. We were here not long ago to launch the planning process itself. So on behalf of the development partners and the UN system, all of us friends of Liberia, really we want to congratulate the government and the people of Liberia for reaching this important milestone. All of us here who are part of the steering committee, we feel very proud as this is the moment to really feel proud for Liberians as well as partners. The Liberia's National Development Plan, which will be tabled before us, marks a transformative step towards sustainable, inclusive development. Your Excellency, when you travel to New York with a delegation of children as young as 10 years and some young representatives, boys and girls, we remained behind and organized a watch party for those young ones who did not manage to go to New York. And we watched most of the processes, and from the statements, we understood that Liberia's youthful population, natural resources, strategic location, sustained peace, and most important, the patriotism and the determination of the people of this beautiful country offer immense potential to realize this plan. We are aware that some challenges still exist, like multidimensional poverty, unemployment, limited infrastructure, health and education challenges. However, these are not insurmountable and cannot stop Liberians from visioning a brighter future once the plan is well implemented. We have been amazed at how the plan was developed through a broad consultative process with the citizens, the government, civil society, private sector, international partners, and really this national plan reflects the collective aspiration of Liberians to overcome historic challenges and unlock their nation's potential, providing a roadmap for a better and more equitable future. The process of consultation and co-creating this plan is very important because the consultation itself strengthens the ownership of the plan. When people get engaged in designing their own plan at all levels, it really strengthens their belief in that plan and the resolve to implement it. This current arrest agenda for inclusive development has been designed with a cause-consequence approach to development, meaning Liberians were able to ask themselves why and how did we reach here? What can we do for Liberia to become the breadbasket for the region and the pride of Africa, as it was? These conversations generated a plan which ensures interventions that are catalytic and enabling dominant effects, sort of a chain reaction. I can actually safely call it a revolution, which kicks in a clear momentum to transform this country. The arrest agenda for inclusive development introduces program planning, laying the fundamentals for program-based budgeting, and strengthening the links between resources and outcomes. The links between the national plan and the county agendas, development agendas, is very clear and makes it easy for decentralization to take root. To achieve this agenda and its strategic objective, Liberia, as has been mentioned by the Minister of Finance, requires investment of 7.6 billion. The government has committed to enhance domestic resource mobilization, pursuing innovative financing mechanisms, and fostering partnerships with the citizens, private sector, stakeholders, development partners, and the diaspora. The country is working on its own ambitions to strengthen institutional capacities, to enhance governance and productivity. The partners and friends of Liberia stand ready to accompany the country in achieving this ambitious goal. Mr. President, We know very well that this is a Liberia's journey, with the government and the people leading their own development agenda. But we also are aware that partnership, collaboration, coordination are vital for everything to come together coherently towards common objectives. No single entity can achieve the development journey alone. So the plan calls for a united effort across institutions, government institutions, private sector, civil society, diaspora, and all development partners. I would like to assure you that the partners are truly committed to leveraging technical assistance, resources, to support catalytic interventions while promoting crowding in the form of private sector to produce goods, services, and jobs, and more. Several partners are in the process of developing their own country cooperation frameworks. We will continue to align our programs with Liberia's priorities, ensuring synergy and maximum development impact. To achieve development impact, this agenda and this national plan envisages demands to make changes today towards 2029, basically towards the end of the SDGs cycle. It is among the few plans which are being designed in the last years as we go towards the end of 2030 agenda. So, as we've been informed, the plan has the ambition, for example, to change the literacy rates of those above 15 years from 58.6% to 62.8%, to improve multidimensional poverty index from 45% to 39%, to improve the position of Liberia in Mo Ibrahim Index of Africa Governance and Transparency, International Corruption Perception Index, and to boost the economy to grow GDP from $850 to 1,050. Basically, Liberia is aspiring to be a low-middle income country in the years to come. This is ambitious, but we all believe it's achievable. I remember when we were at the LDC's conference in Doha, the Liberian delegation was there, and I remember the Minister of Foreign Affairs was also there. But most of the African countries that were there were saying it is really depressing to be categorized in least developed countries. And everybody left that place saying we will not be in this category again. So we are going to work hard. We see this plan as one of those that will lead the country to get out of that. As I conclude, really, as the implementation begins, strong coordination mechanism, robust monitoring evaluation system will be crucial to track progress and adopt emerging challenges. The plan's emphasis on accountability and transparency will build trust, enhance governance, and create an enabling environment for the private sector to flourish and consequently promote sustainable development. The plan challenges us to think boldly and act decisively. It is a call to transform Liberia into a nation of shared prosperity where no one is left behind. It is clearly aligned to regional commitments like Africa Agenda 2063 and international obligations, the SDGs, and the 6 transitions, and also the Pact for the Future. So, Your Excellency, this plan has largely been funded by the government of Liberia. It has been designed by Liberian nationals, led by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, together with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and other ministries and departments. We thank you, Mr. President, once again for your clear leadership and total commitment to national ownership. Allow me, however, this moment to thank partners who provided some supplementary funding and technical assistance during the planning process. The Embassy of Sweden, USAID, Delta UNICEF, the UNSDG Fund, UNFPA, UNDP, UN Women, UNICEF, and all the others who may have provided technical assistance, but also part of the consultative process, and those who made comments in one way or another. Thank you for allowing us to be part of this journey in a humble way, whether it was through research on drivers of development, supporting country consultation, advisory services, CTA, gender, data, SDG, monitoring and evaluation, management principles, and so on. So on behalf of the partners, I expressed our unwavering support for Liberia's journey towards sustainable and inclusive development. We are ready to walk this path together, united in purpose and driven by a shared vision of a bright future for the people in Liberia. I wish you fruitful deliberation towards this validation of the agenda for inclusive development, the National Development Plan for Liberia, and I thank you so much for your kind attention.
Again, members of the President's Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, as representatives of international organizations, government partners, representatives of civil society organizations, as representatives of state-owned enterprises, other great guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On the occasion of the presentation of the National Development Plan endorsement of the rest agenda of government, it is my pleasing duty at this time to present to you His Excellency Joseph Numa, Senior President of the Republic of Liberia, who will make a special.
Thank you very much. Excellency, EU President Coordinator, Cabinet Ministers, the Dean of the Cabinet, development partners, private sector representative leaders, distinguished members of the National Steering Committee, members of the full estate, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be here with you today. I certainly inspire a moment in our journey as a government and a country. As we come together to endorse the rest agenda for inclusive development, AAID, in the country development agendas, we are doing so at a time when we are beginning to see the signs of common progress in our country. May I just pause a little bit to welcome the Ethiopian Airlines for again resuming flight to Liberia. This gathering presents us with a unique opportunity to make meaningful contributions towards shaping the future of Liberia as we prepare for a new fiscal year, 2025. The timing will not be perfect. I extend my sincere gratitude to each of you for being here
Your input is invaluable, and I truly appreciate the expertise and the dedication of each of you that's brought to this process. I would like to specifically acknowledge and thank the Minister of Finance and Development Planning for leading the formulation of the National Development Plan and the County Development Agendas, and for bringing together a diverse group of stakeholders from government, civil society, private sector, development partners, and our citizens. It is no secret that Liberia faces significant urban challenges. We cannot afford to ignore food insecurity, better nutrition, and the near persistent lack of access to essential services such as clean drinking water, reliable electricity, adequate housing, and health care. Our people deserve better, and it is our responsibility to address these challenges head on. The AAID and CDAs offer comprehensive strategies supported by ambitious programs aimed at tackling multidimensional poverty and creating lasting improvement in the lives of our citizens. Our focus is diversifying the economy, building resilient infrastructure, strengthening the rule of law, improving governance, combating corruption, ensuring environmental sustainability, and investing in the human capital. I am pleased to highlight the key development drivers of the arrest agenda, starting with agribusiness, roads and infrastructure, the rule of law, governance, education, human capital, sanitation, tourism, areas critical to Liberia's future. My government is taking a proactive role in Liberian development. We are committed to championing the flagship projects that are central to AAID. However, let me be very clear. These are not the only projects. Many sectorial, county-level initiatives will be implemented by all stakeholders, and every contribution is critical to the overall success of this agenda. The validation of AAID and CDA marks the beginning of an ongoing process that will require a collective effort. We will work closely with our development partners, the private sector, civil society, and all citizens, both here and in the diaspora, to ensure these effective implementation of these plans. I urge all of you to engage fully and contribute your expertise as we move forward. As we listen to the presentation of and endorse these plans today, let us commit ourselves to a culture of mutual accountability. The success of this agenda depends on how we manage our limited resources, how we must ensure that they are judiciously used effectively and efficiently to impact development and improve livelihood. The AAI is a call to action for all Liberians, the government, the private sector, the diaspora, international partners, civil society, and communities. It is a call to unite in our shared vision for a prosperous and equitable Liberia. Collaboration will be vital to revitalizing key sectors such as agribusinesses, tourism, digital technology, and infrastructure, education, and healthcare. As we aim to accelerate our economic growth, we must ensure that it results in tangible development that benefits every Liberian. This means decisively addressing corruption, tackling governance challenges, and leveraging technology to improve public service delivery. We are determined to build trust in our institutions, strengthen the rule of law, create an enabling environment that the private sector brings in growth. To our young people, the success of AAID and the county development agendas cannot be achieved without your active involvement. We are committed to providing you with the tools, resources, and opportunities to realize your full potential. We want you to be enablers, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, community leaders, the change makers of tomorrow, driving progress and promoting constructive dialogue that shapes better public policies. The time to build Liberia with all the mission is now. The Liberia that offers hope, prosperity, and equality for all citizens. Together, we can overcome the challenges of today and pave the way for a brighter, more inclusive future. In closing, let me emphasize that AAID and CDs are not static plans. They will evolve to meet the changing needs of our people, and the execution will remain flexible to adapt new challenges and opportunities. As the arrest agenda for inclusive government, CAP Vision 2030, we look forward to a more capable state that is economically prosperous, socially and demographically harmonious, politically democratic, environmentally beautiful and flourishing, culturally vibrant, and technologically innovative. By doing so, as always, let us dare to think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. May God bless us all.
Thank you, Mr. President, for an inspiring message. You've heard it from the vision bearer himself. I will be giving our marching orders. We will now come to one of the main events, activities for the day, which is the presentation of the National Development Plan, address agenda for inclusive development. We now have a presentation of the plan itself, the arrest agenda for inclusive development. And this will be done by the Minister of Finance and Development Plan. I understand it will be okay.
Thank you, Mr. some others in the process. In the meanwhile, Deputy Minister for Budget and Planning, Mr. Daniel Bronson, please come forward. Deputy Minister for Economic Management, Mr. Buzgo, process of formulation is the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance. It cascades to the Department of Budget and Planning head Bronson, ably assisted by Honorable Zuo, who is the Deputy Minister of Economic Management. And along them has been Assistant Minister for Planning. He has been the chief coordinator of this process. One of the features there is that we recruited two consulting firms, Liberian consulting firms, one of which is the Super Airline Associates. The other is the Africa Development Management Associates, ALMA, led by Kakuna We also had resident advisors to this process, seconded by the UN team. So Mario, I forget the last name, he has been the chief technical advisor. And Patrick has been assisting. And the team of technical folks all across. So now we will present the plan, we have a presentation, and that Deputy Ministers Zuo and Bronson will do a talking on this one. And I will be the back to support it.
Excellency of distinguished development partners, African ministers, we first of all want to say thank you to His Excellency President Joseph Mbaka for the confident repose in us to carve a plan for this country that is considered to be gaps connector, meaning SDG gap, Africa Agenda gap, the National Vision gap, even the ECOWAS gap. With all of these challenges, we've been asked to work with partners, technicians, to have done this work. Thanks to our team lead, Honorable Gafon, for the opportunity given us. We're going to be doing co-partnering on this project from start to end, as we did with the private sector, the civil society, and the companies. The outline straight here, look at the introduction, the profile of our country, the macro assumption, theory of change, the strategic framework that been put in place. We'll be looking at the various pillars, policies, and programs priorities. We have a financing plan, that's the summary of it. The detail will be done by the Ministry of Finance. Also have implementation framework, and that is something that today you see the President also chairing the CERI committee. And most importantly, one of the deviations from all of the national plans is that there haven't been this M&E framework that guide our data collection, our performance along the way to know what did we achieve as a country. And therefore, we have an M&E framework well designed. And again, we have the risk factor, assuming that all these things, if all things constant, with no rates, we will achieve what we have proposed. But sometime along the way, we may be able to experience some challenges along the way. Thank you. Next slide. Go in, next slide. Basically, this is our country, and we want to look at it at a glance. And we are not just looking at Liberia from a post-war perspective. There are three things we're going to be looking at. Looking forward means that you have a generation that brought us to where we are. We are the current generation that are active, and we are expecting younger generation to come after us. Therefore, we look at the transformation of thinking, good, and also bold action as a country. The good news is the president himself has an attitudinal message. In every development plan, there will always be an attitudinal message. He said, think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. And this is the fundamental thinking we want to put in here. From the national vision, we talk about reinvesting in Liberia development philosophy, reinvesting in governance process, private sector driven perspective, in the sense that all that we do is all driven by private sector. And we're looking at sustainable, transformative environment as a country. Next slide. Go up, please. Now, what are we here to do? There are so many opportunities. First, we have very good beaches, we have a good landscape, forests, and everything we have, and natural resources as a country. What we need to make it better? One, commitment to peace and stability. All Liberians, even those who live in the border, within the country. Rich natural resources we have, and we need to utilize it for the benefit of the people. Strategic geographical location, meaning we got a good rainforest and everything that we have, located on the seacoast. Demographic dividend. Clearly, Liberian population is youthful population. It's an opportunity for us to utilize. Agricultural and resource-based value chain. These are the areas we focus as a country under this plan. Have potential for infrastructure development, cultural heritage and diversity that we see. Environmental resilience and sustainability, and international support and partnership. These are the growth potential that we have as a country. Macro assumption, next slide. The reality is that looking at the demographic development, the population and growth, they all will be the change that we're looking at. We anticipate between now and 2029, the population will be at 6.2. In terms of the economic growth potential, we are anticipating that our per capita GDP will increase from 849,000 to 100 to 1,050. Then the most important aspect that we want to be looking at is the issue of governance. And governance is very much key. And the president himself has made a commitment to ensure that our index in terms of corruption is reduced to 135 by 2029. Human capital is very much key. It's very much important for us to know that at present we are as low as 59.9%. We want to ensure that our literacy rates will increase to 62.8. SDG index, we are 7 places where we are, we are among the lowest in terms of performance. We want to ensure that at least we increase to 145. Next, the reality here is one thing that is part of the plan that was clearly is how to reduce poverty. Our poverty numbers now want to reduce it from 50.1 to 46, which of course is not as ambitious as it would be. But Mr. President, with your guidance and leadership, we are anticipating to reduce it further. The global context of the macro assumption is not as important as we look at now. So please, there is slide up. Now, 2 things we want to touch on this slide is that our real GDP projection. One of the constraints that there is that we targeted during our vision process. At the time we were growing at 8.3%. We anticipated to reach a middle-income country. But currently, due to global economic crisis, health crisis, and even we got shot the first time by Ebola, we have come up with an opportunity of saying, how do we grow our economy? Hoping that by 2029, we are consistently growing to reach at 6.3. Consistently, Liberia is now engulfed as much as all African countries face the same problem. We have a huge debt stock. How do we do it? Is to address the issue of debt sustainability, using innovative financing strategy to ensure that in the next 5 years we are debt sustainable. As indicated by the Minister of Finance, will remain within the ECOWAS debt ceiling, but at the same time, we want to stress on infrastructure financing that will remove us from debt stress position. Next, most important thing we're going to look at this next. All of this we are doing, the focus is change. How do we change the landscape? Driving the change, our focus is to look at human capital, which will help to improve governance conditions. As we build a human capital, will contribute to efficiency in service delivery and performance. That itself will have a better policy framework. From the governance side, we will see ourselves having a good business environment, that the private sector will grow, that all Liberians will be able to earn, have a better income and better living condition. With that, there are a couple of things. These are details, but we cannot say all right now. Is to say, how do we look at the human capital development? We focus on education, and most importantly, how do we improve our targets? Secondly, there are some social issues that are also affecting our population that has to do with the human capital. For example, maternal mortality. This is always key when we're doing presentation. How are we doing currently? Liberia maternal mortality baseline is shown at 740 out of 100,000. This is quite stressful for women who are losing their lives from childbirth. Mr. President, the target set by this plan through the Ministry of Health is to reduce it from 740 to 440. If I not go into detail to the rest of it, there are targets for every indicators that we have. In terms of the interior change and organizational development plan, here are a couple of things. As stated by the President, we started with the National Vision 2030. And the National Vision 2030 has 6 pillars, which of course are the drivers of our plan. Because we targeted as a country from 2012, we wanted to reach 2030, where we have a democratically stable state, economically viable, with all the opportunities to grow as a nation. And the 6th pillar also drive us to the 6th pillar of our arrest agenda. And the 5th pillar hinges on the economic transformation, linking the opportunity from the vision to see how economically viable the country will be. The next thing that there is to ensure that infrastructure are actually the driver of our growth. Which of course, the president has said, road, road, road. From there, the next pillar is the rule of law. Ensure that the country is stable. From the rule of law, Liberia is a nation that has to be governed in terms of priority. Governance is very much important, and anti-corruption. So accountability and transparency are very much key. And then we come to the issue of sanitation and health are very much important as a country. Lastly, we are seeing the human pillar. The human capital development is key. It's not that it's not, we put it down because it is where the baseline is. Without a capable human capital, you will not have a capable state. The format here is that we have strategic priorities, which are all sectoral based. And with the sector strategy, we build on it and ensure that we also have what we call interventions. And the intervention will feed into the programs, and the program are programs that are all linked to the arrest agenda from the president's vision. That has to do with agriculture, rule of law, roads, education, sanitation, and tourism. Right there. After this, we have what we call development filter. And development filters is very much key. There are many concerns. But Mr. President, members of the cabinet, going forward, we only want to fill the gaps, I would say gap connectors. We can only fill the gaps and connect the gaps, and we'll program all of our activities using the development filters. If you are making proposal or preparing your budget, doing a project as a development partner or as a civil society or private sector development or any company coming in, these are a few questions we will ask. How do your program support or affect youth and children? How does it address the issue of gender? How will it address the issue of employment? This is very much key. How many jobs will be created? And how will it target to address the issue of youth and children, gender issue? Now, formalization is another thing. To formalize the economy, it's important that across Africa, or in Liberia, is actually predominantly informal sector. But therefore, we want to see a transition between your project objective and how you address the issue of formalization of the economy. Climate change is now a threat to the global world. It's a sign of uncertainty whenever you are planning. You need to tell us how you incorporate and address the issue of climate change. How the program is going to be looking at some of the risks and resilience strategy in the program or the project they're designing. The next thing is that complementarity is very much important. If you are designing a project or coming up with a policy, it should be more complementary. This is a situation where one sector action should complement the other. in the sense that if we are addressing food security issue, we are looking at how the issue of nutrition is speaking to that, the issue of production, all of these things should link to issue of food security. Maybe we can say some infrastructure gaps. How will you link it in your food security program or strategy? How will you look at the issue of even production in the private sector? How can that contribute to the issue of food security? So we want for all of us to have the intersectoral linkages, thinking one direction, moving the hurdles of some of the challenges we have had in terms of poverty reduction. Next thing, which is very much key for us to look at, vulnerability. We are looking at vulnerability not only from a youth side, you have so many groups that are vulnerable. And you also have faster. I'm almost out. Yes, we also have business environment. We want to make sure how your activity improves the business environment. And how your activity is also addressing the vulnerable groups. And digitalization is very much important. Digital systems across the world have brought efficiency in service delivery. And lastly, peace and reconciliation. This is very much key. A stable nation, a peaceful nation, grow faster than fragile state and conflict nations around the world. So these are very much important. And Mr. President, development partners, cabinet ministers, going forward, our budget will have to be development filter sensitive. Your program and everything will be the development filter sensitive. I'm emphasizing on this because many of the ministers will be having concern. Next time, we're not going to be going at the recurring expenditure of everyday salary payment. I want to do this. Even if you are increasing labor force or employment in your area, there should be justification on this issue before we start increasing your number or your money. The budget. Finance is really known for budget, but this time finance is going to be known for plan and execution. Thank you. Next. I think, just as I said earlier, we have the project example here, and we have the development drivers along, and also some of the filters. This slide is going to be shared with the cabinet ministers and all the development partners. And you should please design all of your prioritization and second priority. Let me give this example quickly. There's an example here to improve school feeding. Now, what is important here is school feeding program, it has its own connection. Drivers are there is education, sanitation issue, and agriculture. Right? So these are the people that kind of work together. And besides that, the school feeding is actually going to help to ensure that you address the issue of children. That's the filter right there. And you're also looking at not only the issue of youth and children, because in terms of complementarity, it also helps in terms of value chain in agricultural production, and also help the health delivery system that addresses sanitation issues. So these are the few examples we have, and going forward, we want to see how best we can reduce our target. And this is very much important. When you are doing your program, we want you to look at it. You have to do skills measurement. That everything you do have a point attached to it as a way of evaluating you. Because in the end, the M&E will be speaking to every program and activity. The villages will be working along with Ministry of Finance and MLE to track every development outcome along the way. I will now turn over to my colleague to discuss the various pillars, the 6 pillars. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Zo. Your Excellency, President Joseph Nabwaka, let me use this opportunity to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve the country. I sustain on existing protocol, please. Thank you. So we'll look at the development pillars. We have 6 pillars for the AAID. The first one, and the most important, is economic transformation. The goal is to build a competitive, diversified, inclusive, and resilient economy that is private sector driven for sustainable economic growth. And the policy areas are listed here: economic stability, labor, employment, commerce, industry, agriculture, fisheries, tourism, culture and creative economy, etc. Next slide, please. Number 2 is infrastructural development. To develop modern, reliable, socio-economic development. When it said climate resilience, my colleague referred to climate change. And what I would not like to see is staring up in the faces. We have to start addressing climate change in every aspect of our life. From road and basic infrastructure, transport systems, logistics, water and sewage, energy, communication, the digital economy, and housing development, we all have to be aware of the impact of climate change as we carry on these initiatives. Next slide. Pillar 3. Pillar 3 is the rule of law. Another critical component. The idea, the aim is to establish a just, equitable, and accountable legal framework that ensures the protection of rights, promotes good governance, and fosters stable environment that is conducive to development. We also have policy areas on justice, public safety, human rights, and national defense. Pillar 4, governance and anti-corruption. Minister Zo also spoke about the governance and anti-corruption, which is critical and one of the things that the President also talked about that he wants to attack. The goal is to build accountable and effective institutions that can promote value for money in service delivery, prevent and combat corruption, and deepen decentralized governance and service delivery. On a decentralized governance, during the next fiscal year, we'll be rolling out decentralized government in a few counties that are being piloted, meaning that their budgets to be decentralized. They are preparing the budget at the county level. During the crafting of the national development plan and the county development agenda, consultations were done at the national level, at the county level, and at the district level. The idea was to get the input from the citizens to hear what their views were, what their goals are, and to see how we can address it in the development plan as well. And so we have the county development agenda that will be managed by the various counties that are being piloted at their level. The fifth pillar is environmental sustainability. There again, we found climate change staring us in the face, whether we're talking about the natural resources, already talking about biodiversity, resilience to climate change. We see the impact in our various communities. I know a few months ago we had some terrible rain that flooded places like right in front of Liberia City Hall. There was water there and it's happening in various communities. How do we protect our people and how do we make their lives better and enhance their living conditions? So the plan hopes to address some of those things and providing quality life for our citizens. Human capital development, Pillar 6. Very good. How do we develop if we're not qualified with that? We haven't built the capacities of our people. How do we ensure that tomorrow's people are prepared to utilize what we have left for them? So it's important to build our capacity, not only in terms of education, but also in terms of health, in terms of the population, and in terms of including them in the social and economic development processes. So we're looking at health, we're looking at education, water, sanitation and hygiene, social development services, which is key, and youth development. We talk about the youthful population that we have. What happens to them if we don't prepare them? Are they going to be ready for tomorrow? Are they going to be able to take up the tab from where we leave? We need to make sure that we prepare our young people for tomorrow. So how do they finance the spend? We have costed, preliminarily costed the plan. And right now we are projecting about 8.38 billion United States dollars for the plan. It is anticipated that 5.06 billion will come from the government of Liberia, 3.2 billion will come from stakeholders, including the private sector, our development partners, and the diaspora. We are saying the development partners, not that we are going to be solely dependent on you, but you come in to assist us. And when you come in and you ask us where we give you assistance, we try to guide you so that together we can all achieve the goal of the National Development Plan. So financing the development plan, we have 3 different strategies here. Revenue measures by broadening the tax base, enhancing tax administration, introducing new revenue streams, improving natural resource revenue management, which is key, engaging the diaspora and international cooperation, and optimizing state-owned enterprises. Let me say again, optimizing state-owned enterprises. And then expenditure measures by rationalizing some of the expenses or the things that we spend money on. Are they really things that can pay back? Are they really things that are productive? Are they things that we need to improve the lives of our people? We need to pay attention to those things. Also, we want to improve the public financial management. I think I will pass on that. I want to make a comment, but let me go back to that. Enhancing efficiency. Yes, we need to enhance the efficiency of what we do as a government. That way we'll be able to benefit from the investment that we make. Addressing corruption and leakages. Reallocating resources. That means moving into places that not necessarily more fun, but more effective. Encouraging cost sharing models. Enhancing targeted social spending and periodic expenditure review. And then there are measures that we hope to look at in terms of concessional borrowing, debt restructuring, sustainability frameworks, leveraging sovereign guarantees, bond issuance, improving debt management capacity, seeking grants and debt relief, and debt transparency. So how do we implement the framework? So we have here the implementation framework. The NDP, which is the National Development Structure, includes a steering committee, which is chaired by the president. And this is the meeting that one of the meetings that we're having now. We also have a coordination committee chaired by the Minister of Finance, co-chaired by the Union. And then we have other subcommittees, the technical committee, and then we have joint sectoral coordination groups, sub-national coordination groups as well. Okay, the M&E framework is key. We have put together, along with our partners, what I believe is a very good plan. But the plan itself cannot stand alone. How do we ensure that we are able to achieve the targets that we set? How do we monitor ourselves to ensure that we do what we are supposed to do? How do we check when we slip that we can get back on board? So those are things that we look at when we're looking and developing the framework for monitoring and evaluation. It is key. So most of us, all of us need to get in the habit of reporting. We need to get in the habit of reporting because it is key. That's the only way we can be able to measure our success. Are there risks? Yes. So with anything we do, there will be some risk at some point in time. So we anticipated a few potential risks. One of them is the macroeconomic stability risk. And what we plan to do is to develop more predictable fiscal and monetary policies to strengthen and ensure macroeconomic stability, while debt management frameworks will be strengthened to avoid overborrowing. For business enabling environment risk, we intend to implement procedures for business registration and operation that will be streamlined, including bureaucratic red tape, while mechanisms for transparency and accountability in government business actions will be strengthened. On youth and employment risk, vocational training and skill building development will be designed in line with market demands, as well as microfinance programs targeting youth, young women, and vulnerable groups will be facilitated. For climate change, we'll modify infrastructure to withstand climate shocks, example floods, rising sea level, and implement early warning and community-based disaster preparedness. Complementarity and integration risk. We will enhance intersectoral coordination to avoid duplication of efforts while aligning national initiatives with the ECOWAS and Africa Continental Free Trade Area frameworks. Moreover, policies will be harmonized to ensure synergistic outcomes. In terms of the financing and investment risk, we will ensure a mix of public, private, and concessional financing to de-risk investment while implementing risk-sharing facilities or sovereign guarantees for strategic projects, strengthen financial tracking system to prevent misuse of funds, and monitor project impact. Last but not the least, we have social risk, with about establishing platforms for dialogue and grievance redress while ensuring development initiatives do not exacerbate existing tensions or inequalities. Furthermore, law enforcement and local security will be strengthened to protect investments and communities. Thank you again.
Thank you, Deputy Minister Bronson and Deputy Minister School. Two things quickly. You will note that, especially our resident coordinator last week, the total cost what we're discussing was about 7.6 billion. They, after an updated cost exercise, it grew to 8.38 billion. So now it's 8.38 billion. This is a dynamic process, even from today, through comments we will see. The document will be updated. So in terms of cost, it's 8.38 billion United States dollars. On the multi-dimensional poverty, the goal, as stated in the slide, is also put out was from 45% to 39.9% by 2029. In the conversation, the latest, it was found that that was not ambitious enough. So the new target is 36%, from 45% to 36%. We have to stretch ourselves. You know, they say if you must shoot for what? Yeah, shoot for the moon and you stay before the sky. Stay on. But as we end, let me say thanks both profusely to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, led by Honorable Newman and the Deputy Minister of Oba, and the team of superintendents and commissioners all across the country, as they helped us in the formulation of the 15 county development agendas. Just as we have the National Development Plan, we actually have the county development plan for each county. So when we are producing the votes, you have, you present your county, you have the plan for the county. The county stakeholders are clear on what they want. And we as a government and the development partners will be not only consulting the National Development Plan, but the county development agendas as we develop the country, not only for Monrovia, but for the entire country. So thank you very much for your time.
May I ask you to give the team another round of applause? Amazing. Amazing. I'm really excited. I'm very excited. Very excited. I think the next 5 years will be a seminal period in the history of our country in terms of development. But I would like to ask the Finance Minister a question. Of the 15 county development agenda, Grand Crew is the first. Why is it so? And the only one so far. No, I speak also, that's the reason why. Okay, we have heard the presentation. Very insightful, inspiring, motivating, encouraging. And now all hands will be on deck to move this country forward. As Excellency has always wished. There's no reason why we should go in the dark afterwards and 70 years as it says. So now, the next item will be discussions. steering committee members, but also some of the attendees here as well. What is your reaction? What have you seen? What are your thoughts? What are your comments? Earlier I said there were a few entities who said they didn't see much of their landed area actually captured in this. So it's an opportunity for you to ask questions. So now open the floor for response and reaction from the National Security Committee members, beginning with the President. Thank you.
All of you who have been involved in this planning, including our partners. I know there's space here for comment and so let me start this with thanking all of you. How would I call it? That's something I always would like to do. Out of my control, but for all the 5 days celebration, all of you did, thank you. Well, I like to say here, these are things that encourage all Nigerians to stop looking outside for greener pastures. We have it all here. It's a matter of commitment. It's a matter of commitment, realizing what you have, making sure it works. It didn't happen in other places overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. And for those people who say, oh, we've heard it all before and so forth, let me let them know that this time is for real. And the producer of this country, is going to move because we are honest about it, we are committed to it. I want to make sure that this is something that we can understand. You can all wish all what you want and what I always say, freedom is free to choose whose slave you want to be. There's no absolute freedom. If you used to smoke cigarette, you want to be free, you go to Kolanda. That's a new master. We are committed to making sure that our country works. We have everything it takes to develop this country. We have educated people and I'm happy for those that we are called and go to work. I wasn't really looking for perfect people. I was looking for people who agree that we have a need and that we can come together. So, and we used to go to all the other places. I always repeat what I say when I travel abroad. I said, the people out there are saying we shall overcome, and they are saying we shall come over. They have their own problems. We can solve our problems here, and we are committed to do it. We have some of the most beautiful land God has given us. I'm very proud of the team that we have. And for a while, we didn't go around just speaking. We brought people, we encourage people who believe in this country, people who want to see a country that they can call theirs. Of course, because of the game, if you feel somewhere that you don't quite believe, we graciously will ask you to go. This country is going to be built. I'm happy that we didn't do something because there are other plans. by next year, we want to launch a post-conflict infrastructure conference, where we look at all our properties that have been abandoned. They do call it Hotel Africa, EJ Road building, the unfinished when we all over the country, we build presidential buildings there. I was thinking about that. My thinking about that is, you have a structure, the suite can be presidential, there can be a guest house. Because we waste a lot of resources. We leave them undone, we try to develop new ones. So we'll have a conference to discuss post-conflict infrastructure, how we can rebuild them, and involve our partners, the diaspora, and we discuss them, and make a policy. And one of the things that I know in this country is that people who are ministers and administrators, they forget that it is not just the office you run. For example, I live in a community called Liberia. They used to have about 65 acres of land for the rehab. All of it had been taken by people. Because those at the Ministry of Health, they just look at going there, they forgot that their responsibility included making sure that our property it's happening all over Hotel Africa. People are thinking, when you go to remove them, you write a problem. We have to know the responsibility that we the scope. We have to look into that. So all of our infrastructure, then we have valuable infrastructure in the hands of the wrong people. When I take West Point, for example, can we plan for it? The time is now. The one is country transformed, the time is now. We made this opportunity, we might not need to go. So this planning is in place, like we say, it's not cast in stones, but we'll make sure that our country, some of us chose years ago that we'll be here. And we're here. But the time set for us to make Liberia what it's supposed to be. Stop yearning for other places. We miss opportunities. The challenges are now that we start rethinking our business. And we are blessed, we have partners who have shown the interest, their commitment. But they're not going to just put their money anywhere. You have to show that you're willing to use their resources to because for some it's their taxpayers' money. You can't just take it, lavish it on you, and say anything we do is not going to be that. So most of the people in this place, when they have good education, to learn, come and contribute, will encourage you, and will also encourage the young people. Facebook is not going to be our solution. We have to make sure that we have plans to create corruption and to be fought. We have to be the change. Everything we lack is because of mostly wrong people have taken it and they think that putting up 10 buildings in security, you're not secure. Build those buildings and the children are in the streets. From 1980 coup to the war, and a lot of people have been there by the wayside. And you think you can take it all and leave them undone, you're making a mistake. We have to cater to the young people. We have to improve their life and give them hope. Our women struggle every day to put food on the table for their children. We cannot forget about them. So I just want to encourage you, and I thank you for all that you're doing. But some of our people, like using our local consultant who've been struggling over the years, and also got very personally how this time way back to work together. We have to also have confidence in our people, look up people, give them opportunities. So we just want to say that our expectations I have for this, it might going to be something that we start something, we abandon, we go to something else. This time around we should insist on what we want so that we have it done. And I think we can do it. And I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as I said, before it's open for reaction from members of the National Steering Committee, for also inviting wider participants here. Okay. Our media friends, we thank you so much for joining us.